Friends, our local authorities have a emergency message for our charming little community.
This is Sheriff Sam Parker. This is not a prank or one of Harlan's crazy stunts. Our town is being overrun by giant spiders. Believe me, I know how this sounds, but you must trust me on this. I want everyone to arm themselves immediately.
Giant spiders? What the hell kind of bullshit is that?
Space aliens, you believe? This you have a hard time with?
No, I'm telling you. There's no way that you're telling me that thing back there is from Earth.
All right, they're spiders from Mars. You happy?
Get back, you eight-legged freak!
Happy Shocktober, everybody. Welcome back to Cinemaniac Central. My name is Chris, and welcome to this review for Eight-Legged Freaks. Now, Eight-Legged Freaks is directed by Elroy Elkayam, who has helmed only one other movie that I know of that I have seen, and that is They Nest, which came out a couple years before this. It's about a swarm of mutant cockroaches that overrun a small town. But this is the movie that most people know him for, just didn't know who directed it, or at least I thought it was somebody that was more well-known. But anyway, this sci-fi horror comedy stars David Arquette as Chris McCormick, who returns to his small town of Prosperity, Arizona, where he is there to take care of some unfinished business, which involves his late father's mine. The town's mayor, Wade, played by Leon Rippey, who you might recognize from Cuffs, which starred Christian Slater. He's trying to convince all the landowners to relocate, and the government is willing to pay for it. The mines is basically in danger of closing down, and Chris is there to try to keep it open. Meanwhile, a barrel of toxic waste lands into a pond, which contaminates a bunch of crickets, which are being fed on by this horde of spiders that's owned by this exotic spider farm. The guy who actually owns it is played by Tom Noonan. It's only a matter of time before, after ingesting these crickets, these spiders grow to enormous size and begin to overrun the entire city. So now it's up to Chris and the local sheriff, played by Kari, Wuhrer, to team up and rally their local residents in a fight for survival against the attacking arachnids. So, Eight-Legged Freaks, I remember when this movie came out back in 2002, I was really excited for it. I wanted to go to the theater to see it, but didn't get a chance to. And it came out like in early summer of 2002. And so, during the Halloween season of 2002, this movie came out on DVD. And my dad came home on Halloween night with a surprise. He actually rented Eight-Legged Freaks from Blockbuster. And after I watched the original Halloween, as I do every year, I popped this baby in, and I just had a whole lot of fun with it. This is one of my absolute favorites. I'm a big fan of the creature feature movies. And the thing is that giant bug movies were my gateway horror. Before I was into Jason and Chucky, Michael Myers, and all that, I loved giant bug movies. And they just don't make movies like this anymore. At least they go to theaters. They're all, if they do, they're all on sci-fi. And these were the kind of movies that I grew up watching in like the mid-90s that I was into so much, like with Them, about giant ants, Tarantula, about a giant spider, and so many others. Those black and white movies that were made back in the mid-50s. And of course you have the best spider movie ever, I think, is Arachnophobia, that came out back in 1990. Same year, Tremors. Both of those are great callbacks to the 50s creature feature movies. And so that's why Eight-Legged Freaks, I think, for me, is criminally underrated. And I think it is a very fun sci-fi horror comedy that does lean more into the more comedic roots of the giant bug movies and giant bug invasions movies. But it has a lot of funny moments and some pretty creepy moments as well with some of the attack scenes. The cast is great. I love the cast. David Arquette is terrific here. He's best known for Dewey in the Scream franchise. I love him as Chris McCormick. You know, he delivers some of the funny lines here as this impending town hero who's here to help save this town from these giant spiders. You have Kari Wuhrer, who's the sheriff. And you also have Scarlett Johansson, pre-Black Widow, pre-Marvel, you know. She plays Kari Wuhrer's daughter. She doesn't have a whole lot to do here. She's just kind of there to kind of follow along with our main characters here. But she's fine. She's good. Also, you have Dougie Doug who is Sanka from Cool Runnings. I thought he was great here. He plays a radio personality who's kind of paranoid about an alien invasion, and he's always been talking about that. And then when these giant spiders begin to invade this town, you know, he thinks that they're the alien invasion he's been talking about. So it's kind of fun for him to actually kind of get out there and just help them go against these things. And he has some very funny lines between him and David Arquette. But also, I have to mention also Rick Overton, who plays the sheriff's the deputy here. He is hilarious. He has some really good lines here. He has some really good moments when he comes up against these spiders, and I thought he was very funny. As far as like the spiders themselves, there are some pretty good visual effects here. For the most part, they're pretty convincing. There are some moments where it is very CGI heavy, and it's a really digital looking spiders. But for the most part, and the attack scenes are actually pretty cool. And there's actually some pretty funny moments when it comes to the spiders themselves, when they when they're attacking, or when they're getting attacked, when they're getting shot or whatever. It's actually pretty humorous. It's not laugh out loud funny, but it's to kind of make you chuckle a little bit. But yeah, I think this movie deserves more love than it actually gets. It holds a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is just a little bit too low. I think it should at least get into that fresh range, because it's one of my absolute favorites. And as I said, the reason that it holds a very special place in my heart is because this genre of horror, specifically giant spiders and giant bugs and everything, this was my gateway into the horror movies. Before I was into Jason, before I was into Chucky and Michael Myers, giant bug movies and animal attack movies, this was my jam. I love these things with movies like this, and like Empire of the Ants, and just them, and Tarantula, and Earth versus the Spider, and just all these different kinds of movies. I love these, humans against the animals and these giant bugs and everything. It's a lot of fun. And this, like as I said, this is one movie that doesn't take itself seriously. It's meant to do that. So I think for what it was wanting to do, I think it achieved it very well. And it's just a fun movie. It really is. I love it. I think the cast is great. The spiders can be funny and menacing at the same time. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out if you're a fan of giant bug movies. That's all for this review for Eight-Legged Freaks. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more videos coming up soon as Halloween approaches in just a few days. I love you guys. You guys are the best. And remember, be a good person, but don't take shit from anyone. I love you, and I'll see you next time.